I'm sorted. I got muted too. So we'll start by saying why I've kind of put this webinar together, and actually it's been repeated, which is obviously where it was advertised. I am repeating this same webinar with some developments and changes, and that's because it's so important to be professional and branded on social media platforms now more than ever. And as we've probably seen and you've probably all witnessed, many businesses have flurried to social media since face-to-face marketing and networking and sort of promoting your business has been reduced, obviously due to current situations. So there are lots and lots of businesses that are increasing their activity online, and because of that, they're potentially not being as prepared as they maybe would have liked to be. Their branding and their business isn't at the forefront when they are using it. However, their activity has increased, which is great. So the webinar is all to kind of give a better insight and make sure it's at the forefront of businesses' minds that branding still needs to be taken care of, and it is priority when then promoting your business, as you would with any of your marketing materials. So we shall get started. So where to start? As I just mentioned, your branding should be at the forefront of your mind, and it is important. And the rules around your branding and guidelines should be taken into consideration at any point when you're marketing your business. So this is things like your colour, and for those of you that have seen some other webinars and watch kind of lives on Facebook that I do repeat this again and again, but it's because it's so important. And I think a lot of businesses do overlook these kind of basic guidelines and basic rules, when actually, if you are reminded of that, you can then use that and take that in consideration as you move forward. So things like colour, your logo, style, who you're talking to, your audience is a big thing to bear in mind when promoting your business, and your fonts and the language and tone that you're marketing in. So this will all pull together and contribute. Is created by consistency, which is why I do go on and on and on and on and on about it all the time. I see you smiling, Eva, because I know you've witnessed it a lot. So the consistency is where it's key, and it's also key and plays a part when you take a multiple approach to when marketing your business. So ideally, we say that a business or an individual needs to see your brand kind of 7 times before they take action, and this is all linking to building the trust, making the connection and the recognition with your company before they actually then take action. So for example, if you're attending a networking group, you are promoting on a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page, and maybe you have a shop front or an office that you have a shop signage. If you imagine that person potentially over a period of time has seen your brands visually across those various different ways, they are going to start building that connection and awareness of your brand more so each time they see that next point. So which is why your brand and your guidelines and rules all come into play when looking at implementing that consistently to then get maximum effect of brand awareness. So knowing the rules, what we always say is that if you've had a logo created, and quite often if you haven't had your logo created, this is where I guess it falls down, if maybe you've done it yourself or you've used a program or something like that, is you should always be given some sort of guidelines, whether that is just knowing your colours and your fonts, or actually even further. I mean, we've worked with large organisations that have brand guidelines this thick, but obviously we don't all expect every single business to work to guidelines like that, but having the basics in place is key. And if you haven't got that, I would always maybe look to see about getting that created, or at the very, very minimum to at least know your colour references and your font, so that when you are putting things together yourself, you can bear these things in mind to take that forward to at least begin that consistency. So think about if you have or haven't got that, and maybe create that as an action to do, because that would be where everything starts and you'll be able to take that further forward. So creating your toolkit. Once you have the basics in place, there are always ways that you can create tools and templates to help make this easier for you. And obviously this webinar today is very much focused on using branded graphics for social media, following the activity increases we've already discussed. So what I would say is, first point is get those guidelines in place, know what your rules are. But then next step is there anything to make it easier for you? So if you are looking to manage this, or someone in your office, someone in your team is looking to implement and manage in place to begin with, is going to make that a lot easier. And that's the same with any marketing materials, but particularly focusing here on social media today. So what we've been doing with businesses since the start of lockdown, which feels like forever ago, but is creating those tools and template graphics so that it's professional, branded and consistent, but then actually enabling and giving these businesses the facility to then be able to update and use it on a regular, ongoing basis. So we're going to be talking about how more, then we're talking more about how to implement that moving forwards. So you can see here on screen, we've got a company called HM Staffing. I use them quite a lot as a great example because they have taken what we've created and then used it really, really well, which you'll see an example of actually using the graphics in action moving forward. But as you can see, the benefit of this is brand awareness. So you can see automatically on their page, I've used the Instagram snapshot at the moment, but if actually you look at their LinkedIn and Facebook page, even though Instagram gives you a nice overview of that kind of home screen, if you were to look on the Facebook, as you scroll down, they are still using the same graphic. So as that pops up on their audience's newsfeed, you automatically know it come from that business. So that's where the brand recognition comes in, and you again and again you'll start seeing that, so you'll build a better relation with that. Professional, there's no doubt it looks professional. You know the company is taking this seriously, they're putting time and energy and effort into implementing and portraying the information and expertise that they've got professionally. It's eye-catching and it stands out. And then the best thing, and actually someone said the other day, almost like a testimonial, is that it makes creating content a lot easier for them. There's a lot more involved in when you're planning and creating the content that you'll put out on social media. However, if you've got the tools and templates and a guide, I know, Nikki, I'll mention this because I've just seen you started implementing it, but Wonderful Wednesday, and I'm not going to remember off the top of my head the other days, but pulling out those days with the complementary bit. So top tip Tuesday is a key one that a lot of businesses use, but even better if you can make it more bespoke to your business. But then that creates a rule that every Tuesday you're going to put out a top tip. Every Wednesday could be a motivational quote to make it a wonderful Wednesday. If you start to think about these things for your business and think about some of the things, if you're maybe in the financial industry, it could be sharing a fun fact, or maybe not fun, but you know, a fact about finance, or make finance fun, because actually there's that persona about finance. So if you can conquer that, then why not think about breaking kind of the stereotype and actually definitely put some time aside following this and think about some of the things that you can be putting in place. And I always say, if you're not doing this already on a regular basis, then don't go full, maybe don't make one to implement every single day of the week, if maybe you might not keep to that to begin with. Maybe just actually give yourself 2 a week to stick to and actually implement for the first month. And when you get the hang of that, then start introducing more. So you can, again, consistency is key. You can then keep it consistent on a regular basis. So here's some examples just to give you an idea of the impact it can make. So HM Staffing is the one that you've seen most of at the moment. So here you've got before, they actually had branded content before, but they were then also pairing it with stock graphics and visuals. So yeah, it's great, big tip that they are branding those images, but you can see it's very stock on the left-hand side. And now on the right, they've got the templates and the graphics. They're not actually using it, they're not the star student, they're not actually using it as a grid at the moment, because you can see the pattern is a bit all over the place, but that is purely just when we're talking about Instagram. And when I talk about grid, I mean that the order that you post in then creates the grid effect and patterns. And actually, I've done another webinar which talks a little bit more about the grids and the type of grids on YouTube. So I'll include that link in the follow-up email in case you want to know more about that. But what you can see is it looks professional, you know exactly it's come from that business. You see it time and time again and you'll know. And it's really great because they've got top tips they're sharing. They do shout outs about their clients and people that they're working with. They brand their images that put out, and they're putting out testimonials from clients. And overall, it looks generally really, really professional, eye-catching, and you know it's come from that business. So just so that you have a bit more of a variety of a few different businesses, you've got before and after here of the Ribbons networking group. So, and again, they were mindful of brand and their colours before. However, they did pair it with a few sort of stock kind of quotes and things like that. You can see maybe used a few different types of templates and things, and didn't brand the images. But you can see now with a bit more structure, and actually it was Jade that said to me that now she's got the templates in place, putting together that structure each week of knowing what to post and to actually put the content together to match with the templates and the guides that she's got, creates that more structure for what she's putting out, and she's thinking it through. It's professional, and as you can see, generally looks like it's more thought through, professional and consistent for the brand. Grave Me, a new business, so actually hadn't really started to promote as such to create that, but was just using imagery alone. So the image does do all the talking, but to complement that alongside happy clients. So they've got a template there. I know it's very small, but template there, it says what our clients say, and then they can now share their client feedback alongside the amazing imagery. There's some call to actions in there about staying tuned and introducing information about Christmas and drop me a message, and that goes alongside the post that they do, but they can also use that again and again. Their grid is beginning there. If you look, you can see the diagonal approach, which is looking really, really smart. But again, that is purely just when I talk about Instagram, when I talk about the grid, it is more so and more important about just using social media consistently with your visuals, your graphics, and your brand in mind. I believe it's the last example on this side of things, but you can see before there was a hint towards colours, but then there's a lot of stock imagery and just generally a little bit all over the place with the content that's being posted here. However, on the right now, they've got their templates. You can see they use a different type of layout on Instagram, but the Did You Knows feature really nicely in the middle, and it's making sure that they're putting out weekly Did You Knows and expert content, so they're showcasing their expertise. On the right, they use imagery and introduce new team members and top tips from the team. And then on the left, they use that as a generic template for putting out quotes and testimonials from clients. So again, they've got that structure they can follow. So let's talk about the types of graphics at a basic level that you could potentially look at creating yourself. So I talk about templates, and that is the main thing that I have been saying throughout the start of the webinar. And templates are what we're describing. It's not a technical term or anything, it's just how we've been describing it. So to explain that, is where we create a branded template, which then can be used. And we could look at Canva as the enemy, because it can create some pretty hideous results for businesses. It can be used badly, and it can waste hours and hours and hours and hours of time for businesses. So rather than looking at it as the enemy, we've paired, because it is very easy to use. A lot of businesses are familiar with it, but actually let's look at how you can use this to maximum effect and make sure it's bespoke to your business, but also then you can use it because it's easy to use and edit. So we are going to talk about Canva. There are other software that you can use out there, but I'm particularly going to be talking about Canva today because after kind of doing a bit of research, it seems to be the most well-known one, and many businesses are using it. So templates is where you can put it into something like Canva as an image. So you would put the happy customers template there in Canva as an image, and then you can type over the top of it, and that's where you can then edit it time and time again with new happy customers a bit later on as to how to do that. Call to actions, these are more so bespoke graphics for your business that ideally, and it doesn't have to be, but we kind of encourage businesses to think about the type of call to actions that they could use again and again, so that if we're creating a bespoke graphic for them, they can then have it to use again and again. And this will be like on the HM staffing example I showed you, where it was like the shout out and the top tips, for example, but then the content that they're posting is in the post of the social media post rather than the visual. So, and you can have loads and loads of these created bespoke, but if you're looking at starting out and what priority you should think of, maybe think of those call to actions. It might be that you promote booking a free half-an-hour consultation with you, for example, but you post that different, again and again, you post that in different groups and you post that on your page every Friday following an update that you're sharing with your audience or a special offer, for example, but you want the visual to communicate the call to action to book a free consultation. Again, we're going to be talking a bit more about them. And then branded image is a great way to, if you're putting your own, and I say your own because ideally it's better to use your own images out there, but you're branding it. So if people are just seeing your images with whatever text it's paired with, whatever content it's paired with, it's branded at least. And then again, as you see that on a repeated basis, you will then build that recognition with the brand. So let's talk a little bit more about the templates. As I said, this is where you can add your own content again and again to that post. These are, I think, probably the best way to for businesses to be able to use, once they know how, to put out branded content, because you can customize it. And I've given 4 completely different examples to what we've already shown as well, because I think it's always great because it could inspire you as your business as to what sort of content you could be putting out. And if you create that template, some of the obvious ones is the top tip and is client testimonials. So like the 2 diagonal top left, bottom right examples there. But that's where you can use it to update on a regular basis, but you share a testimonial once a week, which is a great way to tell others how amazing the work that you are doing with your clients, how amazing that you are, but obviously in your client's wording. And I always say that if anybody's struggling for what sort of content to put out maybe once a week, then testimonials is the perfect one, because more than often than not, businesses, or they should do, if not maybe put it down as an action, to try and work on encouraging your clients to leave you a review. But with Google and Facebook reviews and any other kind of platforms that you might have that you've got client feedback for, that's content. Copy that off of say Google reviews into your template. It looks professional, it looks branded, and you've got that set out. You could probably put a month's worth of weekly posts together just by 4 reviews from your clients. The other great thing is you don't want links and links and links of text. So someone might have left you a whole paragraph of amazing things to say, but you could pull that out into snippets because they talk about the different amazing things that you've done. And that one testimonial could create 5 graphics that you have there ready to post out. As I say, there's lots of different ones like fun facts, updates, did you knows. I love did you knows because it's a great way to share your expertise to your audience. A great example of this is we work with an air conditioning company. It may just be me, might quite possibly just be me, but I never knew air conditioning units did hot and cold, so they heat and cool a room. Like I say, it might just be me, and it probably is. However, they put that out there and I was like, oh my gosh, did you know that? And that's them just sort of sharing that sort of talking point. It got some comments on it. And they're sharing that they know what they're doing. Maybe it's not amazing news, like I say. However, you get the idea. Just general information. I know those that run events, it's great to post out upcoming event dates and have you booked yet. Statistics is an amazing one, a great one, especially for industries that have statistics left, right and centre. Why not use those stats to actually put out into your social media content? Announcements, myth busting is a great one as well. More often than not, people think that this happens, but actually the real fact is this. So a template could be really nicely designed on brand for you that says myth busting by your company name, for example. There's so much out there, but really have a think about what, even better if you can think about what is bespoke to your company. So if you can create it so that it's like not just your standard top tip, but actually it links to your company name or abstract news or, you know, whatever it could be, think about what can make it bespoke for you. A little bit more on call to actions. So as I said, these aren't necessarily ones that you would then go in and edit yourself. However, they are ones that you could use time and time again that people become really connected with. They see when it pops up, they get the relation to. Great example, and I know now you're here, but the live at 5 for now, and don't know how she's done it, but all throughout lockdown, she's gone live at 5 or ish. She actually does have a graphic created that says or nearly 5, just in case not spot on, but live at 5 every day. Her audience now knows every time they see that they're expecting to see her that day live at 5. When it does get announced, people can make that connection, know that she's going live at 5 at the end of the day. And if it's a weekly occurrence, again, they're making that connection, it's relating to them, it's consistent, and it all puts across this thing in our minds that makes the connection to that company, all resulting in brand awareness. Another great thing is if you actually are pushing a particular offer, a bit like the cash flow one there on the right. So if you are putting together a particular offer that you want people to know about time and time again, why not have something created to visually communicate that rather than just pushing it out through text? It might be have various different versions of that as well. So then think about if you've got something like that being created, actually put it together for the different areas in your business or the different sections in your business of the services you provide or the products you sell. And as you see, you've seen how HM staff can use that shout out for when they shout out about their clients and collaborators really effectively. And I believe they've made that a weekly occurrence now where they'll feature a collaborator or a client each week. So it kind of becomes something where you wait and see who they're featuring that week. And then the one on the left is an education company that sent out their first newsletter, but they also then had a graphic created that each month when they put out their newsletter, they'll post the graphic out on social media, and then they'll put a link to that newsletter with the graphic so that obviously then people can then go on and read the newsletter. Again, think about all the different things that you could be having as a static graphic that you could use time and time again, or have different versions of to use again and again moving forward for your business. Branded images, I have kind of gone over this one, but just to give you a bit more of an idea, you can see how it is just a graphic to begin with, but obviously then with the images that you're having, you can then sit it over the top, but it makes it look 10 times more professional, it exposes your brand, and as you can see, it kind of just then makes that automatic connection that if you're seeing all the other posts and the engagement that the company is putting out on their social media, if you then see this again and again each time they put out a photo, it just enhances that post that you put out to make it more bespoke to your business and a nice easy way to brand the images that you're popping out. So let's do a little bit of sort of showing you how. So I'm going to jump on and change my screen share over to Canva just to give you a bit of an insight into showing you how to edit these. Right, so you can probably see some that I've been putting together over the past, but I'm going to show you actually how to do it properly from scratch so you can see the step-by-steps. And obviously, as I say, this is being recorded. So when you get the link back through, if you wanted to then re-watch it in your own time, that might help if you are going to start to put some of these things together yourself. So first of all, I will do the branded images. That's a nice, simple one. So you can see the end result there, and you saw it on my graphics on the slides. So you want to be logged into Canva and have an account. You don't have to have a paid account to do some of these basic things, which is really great. So let's get started with creating the first branded image. So you go on create a design. Now, there are various sizes and different things that you can have for social media, and there are various different guidelines, but as a basic level, I would always just go with the Instagram post one, which is a square image. It's very kind of user-friendly and adaptable for if you post it on LinkedIn, if you post it on Facebook, if you post it on actually Instagram Grid. It's a great place to kind of start so you don't have to think about too much different things before kind of moving forward to edit them. And you've then got a graphic you can use across all platforms. So you've got a blank canvas, which is square. And then what you want to be doing is uploading that image into the page. So this is the page we're working on, and you go into uploads, which allows you then to upload your images. Oh, look, Simon, there you are. Nice little feature there. I'm there. So we want to click on upload image. And then it gives you various different ways you can upload it from. I'm just going to be uploading it from the computer at the moment. So I'm going onto the device and I'll go to the folder as to where I have saved it, which hopefully I remember. Okay, so it's just loading there. So you can see here, it also keeps all of your previous images, which is really good. So I'm going to click on that. All you've got to do is click it once and it already puts it in the image, ready to use. And the great thing about Canva, it is really nice and easy to use. I always suggest from a computer maybe to begin with. However, it's really user friendly to use from your phone and the app as well. So if you would rather have something a bit more on the go, download the Canva app and you can do just the same. Obviously, it's not quite exactly the same as you're using, you know, the drag and drop on your phone with your hand, as opposed to on here with a bit more flexibility. So because you can see obviously all of the guides, it gives you a good guide when things are centered and things like that, and like locks into the corners. So we want this image to fill the page. So I'm going to drag from the bottom corner there. And that is literally the image ready to go. What we now want to do is add the branded graphic on. I just need to see where I've saved this. Okay, so now what we want to do is you'll have the graphic created for you and have it as an image file. So just the same way as we've added this the actual background image in, this is the image that will be updated on a regular basis, that if you use this template again and again, I'll show you then how to update it. So we want to upload another image on the same page. So I'm going to go back to the device again. I've got the file saved, which is just the graphic, and I'm going to open that up. So that's loading the same way as the previous image did. Once it's loaded, I shall click. It automatically puts it over the top there of the graphic. So again, the same way it's put it in at that size, we want to just make sure it's that over the top and sized over the top there. I always do that. If you click off it, it will just do it, but you've got a nice easy undo and redo button up the top. That is ready to go then. So you've then put together that image. Then moving forward, I'll show you how to save it in just a moment, but just to show you how nice and easy that is, once you've set that template up once, that's then set and it will be in all designs, which again, I'll show you where all designs is on Canva, but you've got that automatically saved then, set up. What you'll then want to do moving forwards is you can then see how we can just move this slightly out of the way, because the image that you select will always be the one that's on the top. So if we want to change this image, ready to save next week's image that we're going to post out on social media, and let's just pick this one for the moment because it's already downloaded, but you would go and select another image and you, as Eva said, you drop that, whatever image you pop in there, and then replace the background. Oh, I've learned something today, Eva. And pop it in.
I've learned lots from you. That's what life and helping each other is about, isn't it?
Give us gain, right?
Yeah.
We have it.
Graham's laughing, Simon.
So I'm going to go back and pick the actual ribbons image because it's more appropriate for that. Oh, it's not worked either.
And then you just move it back. It's just it came on top of the corner.
There we go. Right, so I'm going to go back and use that one because that's the proper ribbons image. I've also realised that, Simon, you also feature in this one. What we then want to do is go and download that image, and it's all preset there. All the settings there at the moment are fine for use on the social media once you've done it, and once you click download, it then saves it to your computer and you've got that ready to use, so it automatically downloads. I would suggest that you, if you're going to do a bulk load of these, just save them all in a folder ready to then post on social media. So that is updating and using a graphic over the top of your images. Once you've got it all set up in Canva, the graphic sat over the top and you branded that image, which I think is a really simple, effective way of making sure your brand is out there if you're putting a lot of imagery. So at a very basic level today, you could go away and just brand your images, and you've already taken a step up to exposing your brand further. And then obviously we've got templates moving forward. So I'll leave that one there with the branded image. We'll now go on and I'll go back to the start. As I mentioned, I'll quickly tell you here, in here and all designed, you've got each of the ones that you've pre-saved. So that's that there generating, but you can see how you can go on and open up that same graphic and do the replace image and use it again and again and save it, rather than going and do each step by step like I mentioned to you before. So call to actions, let's think about that. I'm going to come off of Canva for that, because we don't need to, with static graphic call to actions, we don't need to use Canva to edit these, because the idea about the static graphics is they're ready to post directly on social media. So this was the likes of the graphics such as the book, that you don't need to necessarily use Canva to edit this. You would just go and use these graphics again and again. So I'm going to just schedule a new post here from my Facebook page, just to show how that is being used. So if you get any static graphics created, my suggestion would be to save them again all in a folder on social media so they're easily accessible. My top tip to you as well is, if you're using your phone to post on social media, have an album on your phone, like a photo, have an album to save all of these graphics, so that if you're kind of doing a bit ad hoc, or if you're amazing, you can pre-schedule your social media, at least you've got it easily accessible from both your computer and your phone, because I know a lot of people use their phone more often for things like this as opposed to using their desktop or computer. So I'm on Facebook at the moment, and just to show, in case any of you kind of haven't done this on a regular basis, but it's just the same as using Facebook if you use it personally and you want to put a nice photo of your dinner out one evening. You would go and upload a photo. I've got them saved here again in my call to action folder, and it's the ribbons one, but this is one that I don't need to edit. It's already been pre-saved and set up. So it's there ready to post immediately. And this is where you would put the content that pairs with that graphic again and again, and then you post it. That's as straightforward as a static graphic will be, and you can do that ad hoc, you can schedule it, you can use scheduling tools, which is obviously for a different time. But that is a simpler, having graphics created pre-ready to use, so you've got ones to go out and again. And this would be if you've kind of got those myth busters, say that this said myth busters, each time you would be able to just then put the content to explain what that myth is. But you'll be able to use that graphic again and again, ready to use. So let's go back to Canva and let's set up a template. So the first one I'm going to do, I'm going to go and create design, Instagram post again, like I did before. Now, pairing together what I said at the start of the webinar and how branding is key and important, how you should always be aware of that when creating any graphics. Something like this, for example, where it's the guidelines, and this doesn't have to look like this. You could have just made note of your colors, your fonts, etc. But when putting together the template initially, I would always want to be aware of the colors that I'm allowed to use to make sure that branding is consistent. We've also started suggesting a complementary Canva font if Canva, to make sure that that font is still used to complement the brand and it keeps that brand awareness. So I'm going to be very, very mindful of this Canva font here. And then obviously here's the templates that we're looking at using. So going back to Canva, I'm going to start a new one, and I'm going to upload again from my files a template graphic. So like the ones that I showed you of the examples before, upload device, and I'm going to go to my template folder. I'm going to use HM Staffing's testimonial, for example. Again, that drops in immediately. I'm going to sit it in the background. And then what we want to do is add text on the top here. Down at the left-hand side, you've got options to add different things on top of your social media. So text is what we want to do. Let's just add a little bit of body text, for example. Again, the same way as you're adding in images, you're just clicking on these options and they automatically place it on the artboard for you. So that text is there ready to edit, which is nice on top of the social media template that we've got here. It's a testimonial social media template. So again, you can edit and change that nicely on here. Drag it around like I mentioned before and make sure it's in the center. And just to show you, I've got HM Staffing's Google reviews up here. So let's just copy and paste one of those. Like I mentioned earlier, testimonials is a great thing to use again and again. So I'm going to copy this back on here and then type and paste it in here. But as you can see, it's kind of pushed it all out of sync. We don't want that to happen. So again, you can pull it in and edit in. It's quite forgiving to allow you to move that around nicely. Again, making sure it's in the middle and being able to kind of make it larger and smaller, even though you have got the options up here as you would in, for example, Word to change the size of the font. You can use the easy to use kind of setup that Canva allows to make sure that this all sits nicely within the space given. So I'm going to make it slightly bigger and I'm going to make sure it's centered. Now, it's not the right font that we've been told with our guidelines. So let's just check back to our guidelines, and on Canva, we've got to use this interesting font, which I said I'm going to say, so I won't even try. So I'm just going to search it, and it is. So there'll be a list of fonts available. And the one that I've been told to use is this one. And as you see, I've clicked on it, it's ticked it, it's changed it to the right font that's being suggested to make sure that I'm kept with the right colours. Now, with the right font. Now, talking of colours, again, let's click back at the guidelines that we've got here, or even just your notes, because if it's not guidelines, like I say, and you've just got notes, the colours that we've got suggested to us are here. Now, actually, with this particular graphic and template, I would suggest keeping it black, to be honest, because it just stands out and you've got the colours in the background already. However, for this purpose, let's change it to the suggested branded pink colour. The main thing to be aware of using is this code here, which is nice and easy because you can just copy and paste the code in. Again, you should be able to get this colour reference from your designer or ask someone, or you'll be able to potentially research it or know it yourself. But if you get stuck with anything like that, just give me a call. So I'm going to copy the pink reference and I'm going to go and change the colour. Now, the amazing thing with Canva, it does actually pull out some suggested fonts from the photo, which is really handy. So if you can't remember this step or you're unsure, at least if you've had your graphics created, then a good enough kind of tool that you can use is selecting one of these, which as I've just selected that colour, you can see it's on brand. But if I wanted to make sure it was definitely my colour reference, then I'll just make sure I've popped in the reference there. But as you saw, it pulled out that colour because it's already in the graphic behind. So that's set up and ready to go. So you can see the difference that it can make. Again and again, you can then go back and choose another review and copy and paste that in to replace and save your second graphic. So it's really, really great to create that ongoing content moving forward. Same as I did before, you would download that image ready to go on your social media. and save as well, because you may be able to reuse it again. You can pop it out onto Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and create that overall consistency. I'm going to go back and show you on all designs now. This is obviously the graphic that was created earlier, and you can go in and edit that. You've got your setup, which this one's saving here, but you've got set up HM News template I've done another time. But on all your designs, you can then have that saved, ready to go back and use and edit again and again. And this is what I'm saying about having professional templates created just once allows you to then create content again and again moving forward. Okay, so we've gone through the basics of templates, call to actions, which are like static graphics you can post immediately, and then branding your images. Thinking kind of a few steps further so you know potentially what you could potentially work towards. It's then about expanding your graphics further to make sure you continue professionally, but also giving you more flexibility once you've kind of created that ongoing use of using your social media graphics again and again, but actually other ways that they could be used. So a nice simple way is just having a variation of color for your graphics, which allows you a bit more flexibility and a bit more variety of posting happy customer feedback. To say that, you know, you've got the 4 testimonials you could put out here, but visually they would look different. However, the main thing here is they will look on brand because you're still using your brand colors. Now this comes back down to your guidelines and things like that with color references, because you might have 3 brand colors, 2 brand colors, or maybe you even have 1. However, you can then have sub brand colors. And it's really key to know what they are and again stick to them, as opposed to just introducing colours for the sake of it. Something you can develop and have a look at, and obviously have the support from us if need be. Then expanding on the kind of call to action graphic, you can actually have really bespoke designs created for you as well. So it's kind of been looking at how you use social media and branded graphics on a regular basis, once having kind of some set graphics created and designed, or if you have the time and the skills and knowledge to do it yourself, to set yourself template graphics to then use them on an ongoing basis. But a level up from that is when the graphics and visuals start to look kind of that level up, where you can have things designed for particular offers, for particular events, to send out more bespoke kind of top tips or encouragement, like you can obviously see here with ribbons. They aren't necessarily just using the template only, they're expanding it further, and that can go as crazy. A lot of you that know our brand, we would be looking to do a lot more with our avatars. So the graphics you see of our avatars of each of our team members, it would be great for us moving forward to start using those graphics to communicate different things using the different team members moving and demonstrating those call to actions, top tips, etc. So you don't have to stay with just the basic graphics that we've talked about today and go further. Thinking about your brand across all social media isn't just about the posts that you put out, but a lot of businesses are now using stories, and with the facility of stories being able to be used on both Facebook and Instagram now since they've combined, it's even better, because those that, as you're posting out your stories on Instagram, for example, on Facebook, your audience from Facebook can now view those. And they're actually a really great way. Talk about it in another webinar that I did jointly with EC Rights. So Emma from EC Rights tells you all about top tips on kind of Instagram stats and things like that. Stories is actually ranking much higher than the posts that you put out on the grid. One top tip I took away from that is not to actually post every day on Instagram on your grid, but to appear in your stories every day, because that's the more human side of your business that, as I guess it, the world and the way things have gone these days, people want to see the human side behind, and that's where you build trust, and it's where you build loyalty, and you can communicate. So just a couple of examples on screen there, you can see then stories are a different size, but how you can then use those templates on stories as well as the grid posts and the posts that you're putting out as static on Facebook and Instagram, for example. More bespoke campaigns is a great thing to consider. So this is a health practice and they wanted to do a campaign putting out a top tip every single day for the month of April about health and well-being. So they had all of their graphics pre-designed, ready to go, so they could schedule the whole month and keep consistent to make sure they posted every single month for the campaign they put out. This could be done with anything. You could do a whole myth busting month. You could, it doesn't even have to be across a month, but a campaign maybe that you put out a competition every month and that competition is visually communicated. So don't be restricted by just some of the ideas we've talked about today. Really have a think about the sort of content, who your audience is, and what they want to hear from you moving forward, that's bespoke to your company, because being unique and different is what stands out. So it'll be really great for you to have a think about what that could be for you. And then social media comes with headers as well. So we've talked a lot about the posting, the content, and just generally posting on all of the platforms. However, your brand awareness is key to make sure it is presented on your headers as well. So on Facebook, which is the one on the left, you want to make sure that your brand is presented consistently and professionally there as well, alongside your profile pictures. And as a business, I would suggest having a logo as your profile picture on your page, because that's what's seen most when you're commenting, obviously when people search your page, etc. And then on the right is LinkedIn, and you can see the difference there. So it's really great if businesses have teams that they could potentially consider having their LinkedIn company page, which their logo features as their profile picture, and then they have the branding in the background. But then their staff also have the option to have a header as well. But obviously this will feature the logo because their profile picture is generally a professional headshot. Something worth considering, as I said earlier in the webinar, you have that ongoing consistent basis of multiple avenues. So you've got the walking by your shop front, you've got the going onto someone's website, you've got going on to LinkedIn and then maybe Instagram. You've got all these multiple different ways. If you're just solely thinking of digital alone, then you want to make sure if they go and find you on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, that they're getting that consistent approach from your company and they know they're in the right place and they've automatically got the trust there. So, as a summary, as I've gone through quite a lot, and obviously I'm more than happy to have one-to-ones with anybody on here that wants to find out more and maybe a little bit more bespoke one-to-one. Just to summarise what we've covered today, key thing is keeping your brand in mind when using graphics, and that is with any marketing materials as a rule, but obviously specifically today on social media. Knowing your role, overcoming that in one way or another, and if you're stuck, obviously please do get in touch. We're happy to help, even if we weren't the ones to create your logo. I'd be happy to discuss that further with you. And creating your toolkit, so this is the templates and the graphic that we've talked about, whether you're doing that yourself, you're engaging with someone else, have a think about what can be included within that toolkit. Types of branded graphic, as I've talked about again and again and asked you to think about yourself, really have a think about what makes you different, what content you might be putting out already, and also how you can then pull that in. The best thing about that is if you're already putting things out, say you're writing a monthly blog, why not kind of take out the bits of content from things that you're already creating? And a great example I've already said about that is your client testimonials. That's content there ready to be used at a very minimum. Maybe start with sending out a testimonial graphic every week to share what your amazing clients have to say about working with you. And then we've covered an overview, and thanks to Eva as well, I do apologise about that, of the types of graphics and how you can use a tool like Canva. There is a million more things that you can do with Canva, and I just wanted to give an overview summary as I knew businesses were using this. But my fear is that they're using it but not properly with their brand in mind. So if we compare that together, and actually there's no doubt that there'll be individuals out there that are probably using Canva way more advanced, but they're using templates and stock stuff that other businesses are using that is losing their brand awareness. So we've covered a bit on that. And then just generally some other ideas and things to think about of your social media as a whole to make sure you're on brand and professional. So at that point, I'll just see if we've got some questions. We've got 15 minutes till I said that the webinar would finish, but I just want to wrap up one last bit at the end before. So we'll open it up for questions, but just in mind that I've got to finish up the last minute. Did you want to read through the question?
Yeah. So Nikki said, how do you get the group posts in order and can you move them around?
So Nikki, what I'll also do in short is send you a link to the webinar that I created, and it's recorded on YouTube, and I did with EP Right Emma. I talked a little bit more about the grid in detail. The best and easiest way, and I'll say it so everyone can potentially benefit here, but obviously this is solely just on Instagram to make sure you've got a pattern. The easiest pattern to follow is image, graphic, image, graphic, image, graphic, and that creates that checkerboard effect. And if you can just make sure if the last time you posted an image, you then create a graphic, you post a graphic the next time, you'll create that checkerboard nice and easily without overthinking it too much. But obviously there's the rows and the different types of grids that you can do. Further about that with you if you would like more detail.
Okay. And then Nell said, I don't have the see-through graphics, Tara. Can you create?
Yeah, so then just to expand on see-through graphics now, because that is a great question. When you're putting a graphic over the top of an image like you saw that we did to brand the graphics, you do need a see-through graphic. I like that. It's with a transparent background as opposed to a solid white background. So yeah, no, I'll double check that. But if you are attempting to do that, say you've got a logo or something like that yourself, and you go and drop it in over the top, if it hasn't got a transparent background, it will block the image out of the background. So if you're struggling with that, you're unsure, you want us to check, then just let me know. And again, if you want something created like that, then obviously we'd be more than happy to discuss that further with you.
And then now again, which of the social media options would you pick on Canva if you're using it across the different platforms?
So that was the Instagram post option. And the reason why it's the Instagram post option, I would suggest there are lots of different rules and things you need to consider or are advised to consider, which is why that is also another great question. But the reason why I suggest the Instagram one is because it's just simply square. And I use the square ones across all platforms. So without then having to worry about creating multiple different versions of one graphic particularly, especially if you're starting out, start off with the Instagram square, because the other platforms are very forgiving if you're posting a square image. If you were to post a rectangular image on Instagram, that's when you start to see, if you've ever come across other Instagram profiles where images are like kind of cropped off and they've got the white bits, and as a grid it can look really, really messy. So go for the square Instagram post if you're going to pick one only to go across all platforms.
Okay. And then Eva just made a comment. I think I always use Insta since the format works on the other platforms too.
Glad you agree, Eva.
And then Nikki asked a question mark, what are sub-brand colours? But then I think Eva's answered this. So following on sub-brand, different shades, complementary.
No, I answered, that was a question for me as well. So when you talked about sub-brand colours, do you then talk about, please answer Nikki's question, but different shades of the same colour, is that a sub-brand or is a sub-colour a complementary colour?
Yeah, so it can be either, depending on the type of brand and the kind of approach that's going. But just a nice, clear, simple one, the Action Coach brand colours are a bold blue and a bold red. That's not to say that obviously every graphic, but also a paler blue version we've introduced, which doesn't then look off-brand, but it keeps it all on brand and consistent. But yeah, overall, it would be particular to that brand to make it bespoke. But It's just a case of once you have those approved, then making sure you continue using that on a regular basis.
And then yes, Eva would like a one-to-one, which you will arrange, and Nikki accepted your link. And that's all the questions, unless anyone else has got them.
I had a question, Tara, if possible.
Yeah.
So I thought the Canva demo was really helpful because I'm just kind of getting to grips with Canva myself. And you showed us how to download the image to your computer so you can save it. What if you're not ready to download a finished image and you just want to save the work that you've done so far?
Canva's really great with that because you don't even have to go like, if you're on Word file, save as, that sort of, to put it into Connection. If as soon as you stop and you click off of it, where you last left off, it just saves it, which is
okay, and it just puts it in the your designs folder on the, yeah, perfect, thank you.
I've got a question, sorry. So when you do an image and you do whatever you want to do on Canva, and then I quite often do a copy, and this just shows how bad I am because I'm too all over the place. And then I save it, and then I download it and use it, and then I go back, and then I've got like a copy of wedding, and then I've got copy of wedding, etc., etc. So have you got any like great tips on how to save sort of in the names, like how to save what you're doing? You must be doing this for a lot of customers.
I would just, instead of like copying the whole graphic as a whole on all designs, you can add more pages. It might be worth, if you want to just kind of have multiple options, just to keep it all in one stream, that you go and just add a page, because then you can just duplicate that one design under that one rather than having millions, like you just said. Or you can obviously remove designs. If you are finished with it and you've still got the template set up, then maybe do a bit of a tidy up and kind of keep it and then start from afresh at that point. That's probably the main way, but I can have a look to understand a bit more further what you are doing if we have a one-to-one.
I'm a bit messy all over the place, and I think it's the fonts that really, I mean, the fonts really annoy me because I think I'm so inconsistent, but I also think, because I'm so impulsive, I throw things out and it works, but I think it can work better with your help.
Okay, yeah, we'll have a look into that. But yeah, it's okay. And you can have a couple of fonts, but it's about using them. For example, testimonial font, but then use that same font again and again. Don't chop and change it for that particular template, because then as a whole, your graphics and your branding then get inconsistent over time. Sometimes without even realizing it. It's only when you kind of go look back over and have a look at all the sort of things you put out there, you go, oh yeah, this isn't coming across as one business. That's, if you are a regular user of social media and graphics and things, a great reflection point would be to go back and have a look and think, does this all look like it's come from the same business? And if it hasn't, that might be something to consider.
I think I look like someone who just loves playing around with it.
Oh, you're having fun, Eva. No. Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll just move on. I've got a special offer to share with you. There are different options for the special offer as well, but as a whole, I've bundled a offer together to share with you as being part of the webinar. I am more than happy to have a one-to-one initially anyway, no matter what, no obligation, because it would be great to see some amazing branding and images out on social media. So what I've done, and what we've been doing a lot of, like you saw, a lot of HM staffing is a great example, is putting together free templates. So now you all know what templates are. 3 call to action or static graphics, and a branded image template setup, plus social media guideline page, which is the example there to the right, which will give you that guide moving forwards, and then have everything that we've just covered set up on Canva with all your fonts, with your colors and various options if need be. Also, you get story templates. Sorry, I forgot about that one. All set up, ready to go. So you literally can then log into Canva and start using it immediately. this is all linking to kind of saving time, making sure it's professional, set up, ready to go, and everything moving forward. So as you've seen, there are ways that you could probably implement some things yourself. However, it's weighing everything up and making sure you've got the tools, like I say, about creating that toolkit that will last you ongoing moving forward. So let me know if you're interested, but more importantly, if you are interested of anything that we've talked over the webinar and you would like to have a one-to-one, I will be including in the follow-up email a link to my calendar. So please do book yourself in for a one-to-one.
Can I just say, I mean, I think it's a great offer, but can I also say, if you do start doing a lot and you've got these templates from Tara, it's quite easy to do things on Canva, and paying the £10, whatever it is a month, is so worth it to get the premium or whatever it's called on Canva. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, so once you get the hang of it, you can then utilize options and lots more you can do at a level of social media. Obviously, that's an introduction to it today. As I say, in the follow-up email, I'll also include the link to YouTube, which you can see some of the other webinars that we've done, and also a little feedback form for you all, if you wouldn't mind. And love to stay in touch. And please connect on social media with us, because as you start implementing and doing all these things, it would be great to see them and tag us in them, and I'll share them. And thank you all for watching today.